Okay, this is message number 34. It's actually the 35th message. I had to read number 122b. I got a little off there. Um, so this is from Zechariah. This message is we're going to continue in the study of Zechariah because we only covered the first two chapters and we really missed some really good stuff that describes what is going to come to pass after this destruction of Babylon America. So starting off, I want to cover with you just to set the stage for this again, to remind you that this is talking about the end time Babylon and not old Babylon, and there's a few key indicators of that. And I used to have a preacher friend that was telling me, oh yeah, verse 12 there, that's the 70 years before they went back to there to Israel, and there's several other passages. I read my notes from in my old Bible. Well, I don't agree with any of those things he was spoon-feeding me now. Now when you read through this, you can find out what's really going on. What he tells you here is, of course, he was a paid preacher, so and he went to seminary. So he was conditioned what to teach, too, to make a good business out of it. And verse 18 through 20 helps you to understand the timing of this. If you have eyes to see and ears to hear, this will help you. If you're not keeping these commandments, if you haven't started keeping the Sabbath and His holy days and all the rest of it, you're not going to understand these. So go back and start keeping the Sabbath from Friday sundown till Saturday sundown, and maybe you'll have a shot at understanding this stuff and all the rest of it. Well, he says here in 1:18, then I lift up my, this is Zechariah 1:18, then I lift up my eyes and saw, and behold, 4 horns. And I said unto the angel that talked with me, what be these? And he answered, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. Now, if he was talking about old Babylon, and he lists all 3, well, we got a problem there, because do you know who went into the captivity of the old Babylon? Only the southern kingdom of Judah and Jerusalem, the city of Jerusalem. Israel was the 10 northern tribes. They went into the Assyrian captivity somewhat, couple hundred years earlier or something. A great deal of time earlier. They scattered into the Caucasus after Assyria was conquered. Then they scattered into the Caucasus Mountains. And that's where we get the word Caucasian. And then they formed the Israelite nations. Great Britain, Ireland, Scotland, French. That's Reuben. Dan. That's the Danites over there in the Danube River. The Danish. Yeah, that's where Dan settled out. And all the rest of them. So he lumps all 3 together here. So we have a real problem if you're trying to pin this into the old Babylon. Because you have both kingdoms mentioned here, Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. So we know it's not talking about that. And there's several other indications too. In chapter 2, verse 6, Ho, ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north, saith Yahuwah, for I have scattered you abroad as the 4 winds of heaven, saith Yahuwah. Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwellest with the daughter of Babylon. So he just lays it out real plain for you there. He calls it the daughter of Babylon, and he says from the land of the north. Old Babylon's not in the land of the north. New Babylon, daughter of Babylon, mystery Babylon, sure is. America, right up there in the land of the north, and that's where he wants you to scatter out of. Flee from the land of the north. Same message, flee. Well, jumping on down, he calls you in verse 10 of chapter 2, O daughter of Zion. Yeah, another key lingo indicator. And in the end of 2, he says, verse 13, Be silent, O flesh, before Yahuwah, for he's raised up out of his holy habitation. That's in some of the other prophecies about this destruction time, that he's going to raise up out of his holy habitation. And verse 9 of chapter 3 says, For behold, the stone that I have laid before Yahushua, upon one stone shall be 7 eyes. Behold, I will engrave the graving thereof, saith Yahuwah of hosts, and I will remove the iniquity of the land in 1 day. You know what 1 day he's talking about? Yep, that's the 1 day when you're going to get the nuclear bomb wars. And New York's going to go up in a ball of fire, and so is Los Angeles, San Francisco, all the major cities. It is going to be horrific. That's the removal of the iniquity of the land in 1 day. Now we've set the table. So that's what the beginning of Zechariah is all about. That. So the rest of this flows after that. That's how now this will start making some sense. Now flip over to Zechariah chapter 4. We're going to continue in there. And these passages used to not make any sense at all to me. It was kind of obscure. Verse 6, he says, Then he answered and spoke unto me, saying, This is the word that Yahuwah unto Zerubbabel, saying, Not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith Yahuwah of hosts. And he says, verse 7, Who art thou, O great mountain, or nation? Before Zerubbabel thou shalt become a plain, and he shall bring forth the headstone thereof, with shoutings, with crying, Grace, grace, or strength, strength unto it. Moreover, the word of Yahuwah came unto me, saying, The hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this house, and his hands also shall finish it. And thou shalt know that Yahuwah of hosts has sent me unto you, for who has despised the day of small things? For they shall rejoice and see the plummet in the hand of Zerubbabel with those 7 eyes. And you read that and you wonder, well, who's Zerubbabel? Well, the old preacher taught me, oh, that's some guy from ancient Babylon that led the captives out and blah. No. Don't listen to your preacher. I told you that already. Don't go to any preachers with this. They'd have already shared it with you, and they'd have already fled America if they had, anything that they could teach you. They're just going to try to dissuade you. You need to study this yourself and go to the Heavenly Father yourself. These words, you don't need an interpreter like me. Look up the definition of Zerubbabel, and now you can start figuring this out. If you look up Strong's definition of Zerubbabel, it says, descended from Babylon, descended of Babylon, or that is, born there. So he's talking about the people that are born in Babylon. What Babylon? Well, daughter of Babylon, born in America. That's what he's talking about. And BDB definition calls it sown in Babylon. And the root for Zerubbabel, there's 2 words, Zerub and Babel. Babel is Babylon, and Zerub is, Zerub means to flow away. That's up there on the screen there, to flow away. It's like warm wax, like hot wax flowing away from a candle. Yeah, that's what it is. So it's the people that flow away from America. Yeah, you flow away from there. Get away from there. That's what he's talking about. Well, now that you know that, we can go back there and read this again, and you find out what he's talking about. He says in verse 6 again, Then he answered and spoke unto me, saying, This is the word of Yahuwah unto those born in Babylon, or those descended out of Babylon, the flow out of Babylon, America. Saying, Not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith Yahuwah of hosts. Who art thou, O great nation, before the flow out of the USA? That's Babylon. Thou shalt become a plain, he shall bring forth the headstone thereof, with shoutings and cryings, grace, grace unto it. Moreover, the word of Yahuwah came unto me, saying, The hands of those descended in USA Babylon have laid the foundation of this house. What house? His house. Oh, back there in the land, in Jerusalem. That's who's going to do it. Yeah, this is what you got a shot at. This is what you have a shot at. Yeah. Going on, his hands shall also finish it, and thou shalt know that Yahuwah of hosts has sent me unto you. For who has despised the day of small things? For they shall rejoice, and shall see the plummet in the hand of Zerubbabel with those 7. They are the eyes of Yahuwah, which run to and fro through the whole earth. Well, this day of small things, he said, there's going to be so few that a little child may write them. So it's going to be a small amount of people. Apparently it's not going to be that big unless he's talking about clans that the little child writes, and maybe be a little bigger, which I hope so. But he says here, the plummet, you know what that is? That's his laws. The plummet, the plumb line, that's his laws and his statutes. They need to be in your hand, and you need to measure other people's behavior up against that, and you need to measure your own behavior up against that. Anytime you're off a little, you're cocked to the left or cocked to the right. You're cocked forward or cocked backwards. That's why a plumb line is so true. It just hangs straight down. Doesn't lean left, doesn't lean right. Doesn't lean to the forward, doesn't lean backward. You have to use his law. That's the plumb line, his law. Back there in the first 5 books, I know, they seem like pretty weird laws, pretty peculiar. I've covered a lot of them with you, and people gnash their teeth and get all upset. You need to quit using your idea of what's right and wrong and start using his idea of what's right and wrong. It's not his plumb line that's off cockeyed. It's Americans' plumb line. Americans' plumb line's all cockeyed. So that's the interesting part of this, is that this Zerubbabel, those that flow out of America, daughter of Babylon, they're going to go back to the land and build this. And all this is going to come to pass with these people. It is just astonishing. Just astonishing. And there's more. Flip over to chapter 6. Chapter 6 of Zechariah says this in Verse 9, he says, And the word of Yahuwah came unto me, saying, Take of them the captivity of Heldiah, and Tobiyahu, and Yedaiah, which are from Babylon,